You're broke because you sold your soul for comfort. You traded your freedom for weekends, your future for Netflix, your power for a paycheck. Wake up, nobody's coming to save you. The world belongs to the man who builds his own empire, and you're still renting your life like it's on clearance. You've been lied to since birth. They told you that the path to a good life was paved by working hard for someone else, showing up on time, obeying rules, and climbing a ladder built by a man who never wanted you to reach the top. They sold you the dream of stability, but they never mentioned that it came wrapped in chains. You sit in traffic like livestock, punch a clock like a robot, and smile through teeth grinding under pressure because you're scared to admit what you already know. You're not free. Not even close. You've mistaken survival for success. That direct deposit hitting your account feels like a blessing, but it's a leash. They've got you dancing for crumbs while they eat the feast. You trade your life hour by hour for a fixed price they decided you were worth. You don't control your time, you don't control your money, and therefore you don't control your life. That's not living, that's leasing existence. You've built comfort around a cage and convinced yourself the bars are a design feature. Every morning you wake up to an alarm set by fear. Fear of being late, fear of losing your job, fear of bills, of debt, of not having enough to survive the next month. That's not power. That's slavery. You've been programmed to think discipline is about showing up to a 9 to 5 every day. No, real discipline is building something of your own, refusing to live like the average man, and taking responsibility for your freedom. Real discipline is saying, I will not die in a cubicle. Real discipline is learning to generate money while you sleep, not just while you're awake. You sit there tired, drained, hoping one day it gets better, but hope without action is delusion. The truth is ugly, but it sets you free. If you keep living like this, you'll be 60 before you realize you never owned a single hour of your own day. Freedom will only come when you no longer trade your time for money. That's not a catchy phrase. That's a law of real life. And it applies to everyone, whether you accept it or not. You cannot be financially free while selling the only non-renewable asset you have, your time. The world doesn't reward good intentions, it rewards results. You might work harder than your boss, but if you don't own anything, if you can't walk away, if you can't generate cash on your own terms, you're expendable. You've been taught to worship job titles and stable income, but those are the trophies they hand out to keep you from noticing you're in the race alone and going nowhere. You're not tired because you work hard. You're tired because you don't own your hours. There's a difference between fatigue and frustration, and most of you are just frustrated with being trapped in a loop that leads to nothing. But listen, it's not over. That burning anger in your chest, that's potential. That's the part of you that still knows you were meant for more. You've got power inside you, but it's been buried under bills, distractions, and fear. You weren't born to be a slave. You weren't designed to chase checks and beg for promotions. You were made to conquer, to own, to create, to provide, to lead. The system is designed to keep you predictable. Financial freedom breaks that algorithm. When you control your income, you control your time. When you control your time, you control your future. The road to financial freedom is hard, yes. But what's harder? Living every day knowing you never tried. Waking up in your 40s or 50s realizing the only thing you built was someone else's dream. Watching your kids grow up while you miss their lives just to pay rent. That's real pain. So don't run from hard, chase the right kind of hard, because there's struggle in both paths, but only one of them leads to power. Start seeing time as your greatest currency. Every hour you waste numbing your mind with distractions is an hour stolen from the empire you could have built. Every paycheck you rely on is proof that someone else holds the keys to your survival. Don't you get it? Freedom isn't about luxury, it's about control. It's about waking up and knowing no man owns your next move. It's about being able to say no, walk away, pivot, adapt, move without asking permission. You weren't put on this planet to get by. You were born to dominate your lane, build your own machine, and walk your own path. The only thing stopping you is the belief that you're too late, too unprepared, too broke, too unworthy. That's nonsense. Everything you need is already inside you, but you've got to wake up and demand more from yourself. Learn the skills, build the vehicle, make the sacrifices. Get obsessed with ownership of time, of income, of destiny. Because until you own those three things, you'll never know what real freedom tastes like. And when you finally taste it, when you wake up and know you don't have to go anywhere you don't want to, when money flows because you built something that doesn't rely on a time clock, when you see your family living well because you made it happen, That's the real victory. That's when all the pain, all the late nights, all the grinding, it all becomes worth it, and you look back at the cage you escaped from and wonder how you ever lived like that. I remember standing in a shoebox apartment with a mattress on the floor, a laptop that could barely boot up, and silence so loud it could choke you. No distractions, no noise, just the cold truth staring back at me. If I didn't figure it out, no one was coming. No family handouts, no lucky breaks, just me, the world, and a brutal clock ticking against my dreams. And that's where most men either break or build. Not when they're surrounded by opportunity, but when they're drowning in nothing. The hunger you feel when your bank account hits zero is different. It's not just physical, it's mental, it's emotional, it's spiritual. That kind of pain cracks you open. You either numb it or you convert it into energy that could burn down the life that trapped you in the first place. See, people think wealth starts with money. It doesn't. It starts with rage. A clean, clear anger at your situation. You look around and realize that being broke isn't just inconvenient, it's dangerous. You can't protect anyone. You can't escape anywhere. You can't say no to anyone. That's not living. That's being one emergency away from collapse. I've met men who look strong in the gym but folded like paper in life because they never built financial muscle. They lifted weights, but they couldn't carry responsibility. They had abs, but no assets. And the truth is, life doesn't care how much you bench. If you can't buy freedom, you're still just decoration for a world that doesn't respect you. So I made a decision right there, broke, pissed off, staring at 4 empty walls. I said, I'll never let money own me again. And that was the moment everything changed. I hadn't suddenly become rich. I became resourceful. I stopped waiting for someone to show me how and started learning like my life depended on it, because it did. I studied money like it was warfare. Every article, every book, every mentor, every conversation, I inhaled it like oxygen. I didn't chase income, I chased control. The goal wasn't to buy a Lamborghini, the goal was to buy back my time. And when you reframe the mission like that, you stop making excuses and start making progress. People laugh, they always do, until they stop, until they start asking questions. How did you do it? How did you get free? And they expect some shortcut, some magic trick, some lucky break, but they don't understand it's not about luck. It's about urgency. And when I say freedom will only come when you no longer trade your time for money, it's because I lived the opposite for too long. I felt what it meant to sell your soul an hour at a time, to count pennies while your dreams died of starvation. That kind of pressure either crushes you or creates a monster. I became obsessed with leverage, obsessed with building skills that couldn't be automated, outsourced, or ignored. I didn't want job security. I wanted financial invincibility, something no boss could take, something no economy could collapse. I learned sales, persuasion, marketing, systems. I built businesses from scratch. I took losses that felt like getting punched in the face by life, but I kept swinging because I knew one wind could change everything. One scalable skill, one income stream, one moment of courage, and the dominoes would start falling in my favor. And eventually they did. Not all at once, but slowly, quietly. I remember the first time I made money while sleeping. It wasn't a fortune, just a few $100 from something I had built, but it hit me harder than any paycheck ever did. That money represented something much bigger. Proof. Proof that it was possible. Proof that I didn't have to be on a leash forever. That I could control the flow instead of always being downstream begging for scraps. And from that day on, I never looked at time the same way. You know, it's wild. Once you get even a taste of that autonomy, you can't go back. Waking up when you're done sleeping. Working because you want to, not because you have to. Choosing your circle, your environment, your energy. It's a completely different game. And it changes how you walk, how you talk, how you think. Because when you've bought back your time, you start living with intention. Every hour has purpose. Every move has weight. You're no longer drifting, you're directing. People say money doesn't matter, but it's funny how that line only ever comes from those who never had any. Money isn't about greed, it's about options. The option to protect your family, the option to walk away from toxic situations, the option to invest in your body, your mind, your mission. The man who has money and control is not better than you, but he is freer than you, and freedom is the only real wealth. So if you're at that place right now, on the floor, broke, lost, unsure, good. That's your forge. That's at the birthplace of the version of you who breaks the chain. Don't run from it. Use it. Take the pain, the doubt, the desperation, and turn it into fire. Build your skills like your life depends on it. Start a hustle. Create something. Sell something. Learn something. Stack wins. Stack leverage. Stack freedom. No one is coming to save you, but the moment you realize you are your own savior, that's when you start to rise. You don't need perfect conditions. You don't need endless time. You need a ruthless decision, a promise to yourself that you will never again live as a prisoner in a system designed to drain you. Build your empire brick by brick, late nights, early mornings, failures, lessons, pour everything into the mission. Because on the other side of sacrifice, there's a life waiting for you that feels like victory on repeat. You think you've got time. That's the greatest lie they've ever sold you. You think tomorrow is promised, but deep down you know it's not. You know people who said next year and never made it past next week. You've seen dreams buried in silence, lives wasted behind phone screens and cheap distractions. Every second you waste thinking you're getting ready is a second the world eats you alive. The system is counting on your delay. That's why they drown you in comfort, because comfort makes men forget they're dying. Fear is not your enemy, your comfort is. Fear wakes you up, comfort puts you to sleep. And right now, as you read this, someone out there with less talent, less intelligence, less opportunity is running laps around you because he decided to move while you were still debating. You're scared to fail? You should be terrified of staying the same. You should be shaking at the thought of working a job you hate for 40 years just to retire on scraps, praying your body doesn't give out before your pension does. When I say freedom will only come when you no longer trade your time for money, it's because that's the oldest trick in the book. Sell them a salary and steal their soul. They convince you to hand over your hours in exchange for security, but what they're really buying is your submission. You're too scared to leave, too numb to fight, too conditioned to question. So you stay. You wake up, clock in, clock out, go home, and the cycle resets. Your life becomes a loop, not a journey. And by the time you realize you're trapped, it's already too late. You think chasing financial freedom is risky? Try not chasing it. Try living a life where your boss decides your worth, where emergencies destroy your peace, where you have to choose between time with your child and staying employed. That's risk. That's horror. That's a prison painted to look like stability. And most men, they accept it because they've been taught to fear freedom more than they fear slavery. But let me tell you something. Once you taste freedom, you'll choke on anything less. The air smells different when you own your time. The world opens up when no one holds your leash. There's a reason the average man scrolls for hours but builds nothing. The game is rigged for your distraction. They want you entertained, not educated, addicted, not awakened. So you waste your sharpest years chasing dopamine instead of chasing dominance. You waste your mental energy on debates, drama, and nonsense when every ounce of focus could be building your escape. And you're losing time. And time is the only currency that doesn't refund. Every moment you delay your mission is a moment someone else takes what could have been yours. You're scared of the wrong things. You fear rejection but don't fear regret. You fear starting small but not ending insignificant. You fear being laughed at for trying but not pitied for never becoming. That's not fear. That's misdirection. You've been taught to fear becoming powerful because a powerful man can't be controlled. And here's the truth. Every second you spend in hesitation, someone else is cashing in on your hesitation. Every skill you refuse to learn, every opportunity you ignore, every time you say not now, you create space for someone else to dominate. The worst part? You know you're meant for more. You feel it. That itch in your chest, that fire in your gut, that restlessness that doesn't let you sleep peacefully. That's not anxiety. That's your potential screaming at you, telling you that if you don't act now, you will die unknown, die with stories untold, money unmade, lives unchanged, and you'll have no one to blame but yourself. You can lie to the world, but you can't lie to the mirror. The man staring back knows the truth. He knows whether you're building or bullshit. Let that fear fuel you. Let it light the fire under your soul, because this is your only shot. This isn't a dress rehearsal. This is the real thing, and the world will not wait for you to be ready. Success doesn't pause. It rewards the bold, the decisive, the relentless, the man who builds in silence while others sleep, the man who learns new skills while others binge, the man who understands that freedom isn't a gift, it's a war, and every day you hesitate, you surrender ground to someone more committed than you. You're not broke because the world is unfair. You're broke because you haven't gone all in, because deep down you've been too scared to bet on yourself. You want guarantees in a world that only rewards guts. But here's your reality check. The longer you wait, the harder it gets. The older you are, the more responsibility, the more excuses, the more baggage. That's why you act now, not later. now. Because every day you delay, the climb gets steeper. And if you don't start today, you'll wake up 5 years from now in the same place with the same pain whispering the same what ifs to a ceiling that doesn't care. You were not born to just pay bills and disappear. You were born to conquer, but you can't conquer anything while being conquered by fear. Flip the script, use it, convert it, let it burn the weakness out of you. Let it remind you what's at stake. Your future family deserves a father who fought for freedom. Your legacy demands you to break the cycle. And your soul, it's begging you to become the version of you that doesn't just survive, but thrives with power, with purpose, with pride. Because on the other side of fear is the life that was meant to be yours. And once you take it, once you own it, you'll wonder how you ever lived any other way. You were not put on this planet to be ordinary. You weren't born to be another gear in the machine, another number on a spreadsheet, another man who settles for average while greatness waits in the corner, watching, wondering when you'll finally get tired of wasting your potential. Financial freedom isn't just about money. It's about reclaiming your power. It's the difference between begging for permission and commanding your existence. And every second you don't pursue it is a betrayal to the man you were destined to become. You sit there thinking effort is enough. It's not. The world doesn't reward effort. It rewards outcomes. It doesn't care that you tried if the result is still failure. You think just because you want it, it's supposed to come? No, you get it by earning it every day, showing up when no one claps, grinding when no one watches, refusing to quit when everything in your life tells you to lay down. That's how you separate yourself. That's how you become the kind of man who doesn't just talk about freedom, he embodies it. Do you know what happens when a man finally says, I've had enough, when he stops making excuses and starts making moves? His life explodes. His mindset sharpens. His eyes change. He starts walking like the world belongs to him because he knows the truth. No one is coming to save him, but he doesn't need saving. He needs discipline, direction, and the ruthless commitment to outwork every version of himself that ever hesitated. You're not stuck. You're just still negotiating with your weakness. Cut the negotiation. Make the decision. People say money isn't everything, but every man who says that is broke. Financial freedom gives you the luxury to focus on everything that matters: peace, time, health, legacy. Without money, you're chained. You don't get to choose how you live. You're forced to obey, compromise, shrink. But when you own your finances, you own your schedule. You own your energy. You walk through the world like a lion among sheep. Not because you're loud, but because you're free. And let's be honest, you know exactly what you should be doing. You know you should have built that skill, started that hustle, read that book, made that move, but instead you scroll, you delay, you rationalize, you convince yourself you're preparing. But preparation becomes procrastination when you stop acting. I'm thinking about starting is the death sentence of dreams. No one cares what you thought about doing. What did you build? What did you own? What did you conquer? You will never meet a powerful man who waited for permission. You'll never see a man in control who spent his prime years watching other men rise. You want to change your life, you start by making a contract with yourself that mediocrity is no longer acceptable, that from this day forward, you will operate like your future depends on every decision, because it does. You either move with urgency or get buried by the ones who do. And if that doesn't light a fire under you, then you're already burnt out and don't even know it. Financial freedom is not a luxury. It's a requirement for any man who wants control. Because if someone else owns your time, they own your mind. And once they own your mind, they own your life. That's why they never teach you about money in school. That's why they never show you how to invest, how to build, how to escape. Because a free man is dangerous. A financially independent man doesn't ask for approval. He executes. He doesn't wait for the economy to improve. He adapts and dominates regardless. He doesn't panic when problems come. He solves them with resources, not regret. The world respects execution. It respects outcomes, achievements, power. You want to be respected, then earn it. Build the body, stack the cash, sharpen the mind, protect your name. And do it without asking for validation, because if you're building the life you want, no applause is necessary. You won't need to post your progress because the world will feel your presence. And when they ask how you did it, you'll say what every real man says: I stopped wasting time and I got serious. Financial freedom isn't a myth. It's not a dream. It's a decision, a lifestyle, a warpath. The tools are there. The knowledge is everywhere. You just have to be the man who takes it and turns it into reality. High income skills, smart investments, relentless execution. That's the formula. No secret code, no shortcut, just consistent domination. And once you get a taste of what it feels like to own your mornings, to never check a bank account in fear, to say no to nonsense without risk, you'll realize you were never chasing money, you were chasing freedom. And here's the final truth. This game isn't about who starts the fastest. It's about who refuses to quit, who stays sharp when others fall off, who adapts, evolves, grows. Because while most men talk about success in past tense, you live it. And when your time comes, when the world finally sees what you become, you won't have to explain anything. Your results will scream louder than your words ever could. Now it's your move. No more thinking, no more theorizing, no more talking about what you could do or what you might try. Life doesn't reward intentions, it rewards execution. And if you've made it this far, if something inside of you is burning right now, it's not an accident. It's the version of you that's been suffocating for years, falling from inside, begging to be released. That voice in your head saying, I'm made for more, isn't delusion. It's your soul waking up. And now the question is simple. Will you answer? You already know what happens if you don't. Another year passes, another promise broken, another cycle of waking up tired, working without purpose, and lying to yourself that it's fine because everyone else is doing it too, but deep down you know it's not fine. It's killing you slowly. There's no worse prison than being stuck in a life you settled for, and the only escape is action. Ruthless, precise, daily action. That's how the chains break, not by waiting for someone to save you, but by becoming the kind of man who doesn't need saving. You want financial freedom? Earn it. Not through luck, not through gambling, not through waiting for the world to hand it to you, through complete ownership of your time, your mind, and your money. Every second you spend on nonsense is a second stolen from the life you could have built. And it's not just about becoming rich, it's about becoming untouchable. When you control your finances, you control your choices. You decide where to go, how to live, who to work with, what to reject. That's real power. Not loud, not flashy, but undeniable. So this is it, the final moment, the fork in the road. One path takes you back to comfort, scrolling, waiting, wasting. The other path leads to chaos, discipline, pain, growth, and eventual dominance. You already know which path real men take. So stop pretending, stop doubting, stop negotiating with average. You've been gifted a mind, a body, a chance. Use them. Build something that will outlive you. Build a name that commands respect. Build a life that makes every second of suffering worth it. The world is open for the man who dares to take it. No more running, no more hiding, no more asking. It's time to rise. It's time to earn. It's time to be free.